trying to anchor this before we came on the trail. And so, because I don't have...
You gotta find your tail and it's bouncing all over the place.
It is. I don't have the thing with me, so I have no choice but to do it here.
Ready then?
Yeah.
Morning.
Hi there.
September 11th, 2022. What better day than today to be reminded how beautiful our world is, and also to pay respects to those poor folks who lost their lives on 9/11. Look at the beauty around us. Just take it in. It's just amazing. This is the Eastern Trail at the Scarborough Marsh section. This section of the Eastern Trail is all off-road, and this section actually covers a little bit over 8 miles one way. It's all pretty well flat, easy trails. It connects the town of Saco, the towns of Saco, Old Orchard Beach, and Scarborough. The northern end of this section goes through the Scarborough Marsh area, which is absolutely beautiful. Take a look at these views. There are scenic views here, wildlife watching. It's just a beautiful, beautiful area. The full moon was coming up, and this evening they were actually scheduling a moonwalk in the marsh area. The views are just phenomenal. We actually accessed the trailhead at the Scarborough Marsh area on Pine Point Road in Scarborough, Maine. We have previously rode our bikes all along this trail, and we never ventured off-road. We did the southern portion of it, which is all gravel and crushed stone, offers plenty of shade, plenty of areas to rest with benches, and it has a few road crossings that were actually very well marked. I felt very comfortable. The southern portion is the longer portion of the trail, and while you can venture off the trail and go on road, the shared road is marked, you can follow along. We did not do that. We did not venture off that southern point. On this particular Sunday, Jay and I rode our bikes up from Bayley's camping resort where we're camping for the weekend. We arrived at the trailhead at about 10:15 a.m. and the parking area had plenty of spaces left. And surprisingly, the trail maps, there was plenty available. We have gone to trails before where the little box that holds the maps was empty. And I always like being able to look at a trail map, although I'll have to admit, they usually don't give you a whole lot of information. These particular trail maps here are not all that great, but at least it gives you a starting point and an ending point and some idea. So on this particular day, it was about 10:15 when we arrived. We were supposed to meet up with a fellow e-biker, but she had to cancel. And so Jay and I decided we were going to just venture out on our own. She was from the area, and so she knew some of the roads, and we had planned out where we really wanted to go. I was unsure if we were going to actually do it on our own. I'm speeding up the clip, as you can see, mainly because it's a really long video. And I just kind of thought, for those of you that might be curious to see what the actual trail looks like, it'd be giving you a good idea. Let me just tell you that I was a little nervous about going on gravel on my bike. I have done the gravel trails before on a fat tire bike, and I felt a little bit more secure doing it that way. But I didn't have a problem at all going on the trails with my bike. Even though there was loose gravel in spots and stones, it was pretty well maintained. There wasn't any big ruts. There was no big obstructions or anything like that. It was very, very nicely maintained. There were a lot of people out walking with children, with animals, and there were a number of other bikers as well. Everyone was super polite and super friendly. We felt really good riding the bikes on the trail. Very, very comfortable. So we ended up going to the end of the trail, which, by the way, the northern section is actually quite short. I think it might be a little over, maybe 2 miles, 2.5 miles. I'm really not too sure. I'd have to look it up. But we ended up going to the end of the trail, and at that point, I wasn't too sure if we were going to continue on or what we were going to do. I figured we'd have to really discuss it. So after some discussion, we decided that we were going to follow Route 207, which was a shared road route, and I was a little nervous about that. So we turned right at the end of the trail, and we rode all along Route 207, which is also called Black Point Road. The traffic was moderate. The shoulder in that area that was nice and wide, we felt pretty comfortable. There was some construction and repaving happening, and I think that helped keep the traffic speed down. At the sort of, I guess not the end, but at the intersection of where Route 77 connects to 207, also called, I think, Scarbourgh Road, we decided that we were going to ride on to Higgins Beach. We went into Higgins Beach. We had a rest area. We had some snacks. We explored the area. Oh my gosh, what a beautiful, beautiful little beach it was. And then eventually we ended up making our way back up to Route 77, and we drove along the route. As the afternoon got later and the traffic got a little bit more heavier, I was a little nervous, but surprisingly, I think because Maine has that 3 feet rule and all that, nobody really came really close to us on that portion of it. So we drove up through Cape Elizabeth. We didn't explore Cape Elizabeth. We went by that area, but oh my gosh, what a gorgeous, gorgeous area. And instead, we just continued on and we made our way to actual Portland Head Lighthouse. I'm going to show you a couple of pictures here. We were exhausted. I think it was about an 18-mile trip that we did one way going up there. And that was, of course, because we also did a side trip at Higgins Beach, and that added a little bit more mileage. But we were totally exhausted. We ended up sitting there and we had some really delicious clam chowder and drank a ton of water, found some of the facilities, and after probably, oh my gosh, I think I would guess to say about 40 minutes perhaps of a rest area, we knew that we were going to have to turn around and head back. And I was a little unsure. My husband was really exhausted. We're not that young, so he was really exhausted, and I was really a bit unsure of how the return leg was going to go. And I was also a little concerned because it would be later in the day. So this section of the clip is going to be on high speed. This just shows us heading back. We made our way back to the trailhead. The traffic was really much heavier, especially up by Portland. But I think because it was later in the day, the traffic was much heavier. So I was really happy when we got to the trailhead and I knew that the section would be off-road. So we rode our bikes along this. I'm going to let you see the entire ride at high speed, mainly because, you know, I kept having issues with my GoPro with it sliding off my handlebar and all of that. So a lot of times my ride might have been obstructed a little bit with my basket. But we actually did this ride all the way back to where the trailhead started, where we started in the morning, crossed the road. So if you're really curious, you'll see us all the way along the road and all the way to the very end of the clip. It'll end at our campsite at Bayley's. There is one section when I enter into the campground that I take a real tight turn, and some of you are going to say, oh my gosh, she's on the wrong side of the road. Well, yeah, I was, and it was a real tight turn. However, I could see, and I know you couldn't see it, but I could see there was nobody sitting there at that moment through the trees, so I knew I would be perfectly fine doing that tight turn. And then just going through the campground. If you've never been to Bayley's, the sites are all huge. It's really, at least down in the Little River section, Little River complex where we were, the sites are really big. The roads are very well maintained, speed bumps and stuff like that. So if you're into camping, watch to the very end and you'll get to see our campsite. So my assessment is that I think that the Eastern Trail system, and I know it continues on and way more trails are involved than just the few that I've been on, but I'm really impressed with the trail system that Maine has. My suggestion is to do better maps. You know, the maps are not very clear at all. I was able to download off the internet and also use a Google system as well. But for somebody that has never been up there, I talked to a few people camping and they were all like, I can't make heads or tails of this map. So it is not user-friendly, in my opinion. But overall, I'm impressed with the trails, how they're maintained, how clean they are. I never felt uncomfortable in any sections of the trail at all. I thought it was really well maintained and definitely a must-do. Jay and I will go back and do the trails again. We will camp at Bayley's and you know, spend some time riding our bikes. We do a lot more bike riding than just the trails, and that makes it really super nice. So I hope you enjoyed my video. I know it's awfully long, but thanks for watching.